Oh. Is it dawn or dusk? It's gotta be dusk. Oh, I love this.
隠された暗号がないか調べているんだよ。
暗号？
Right.
錬金術は一般人が簡単に解読できないよう、比喩や寓意を用いて内容を秘匿するものなんだ。しかしこの研究所の場合、一見
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is.
担いで移動しようにも貴様が大きすぎるからな。
Fair
それ
enough,
で分
man.
解させてもらった。
ごめんなさい。みんなに迷惑をかけてしまって。
今までもこんなことあったの？
うん。ここへ来る前にも一度。
ああ、そうだね。組み合わせを間違えちゃいかんな。
バラバラ。組み合わせ。
Oh. She's about to crack it.
組み合わせを変えて、金とか不老不死とか同じ極の部分を重ねてみたらどうなるかと思って。
Okay.
そのページをよこせ、マルコ。
それ
Look at
こっちと
this.
つながります。
黄金の人はないか。
あります。これです。
Oh, this is great.
これで
This
最
is
後。
great.
ひょっとして
Oh. Interesting. One eye showing, one eye's
これは
blanked out. It's a common trope.
国土錬成人。
兄ちゃん、俺に伝えたかったのはこのことだったのか。兄者ならもっと先までたどり着いてい
He
たので
must
は
have.
ない
He
のか。
must have.
隠された何かがあってもおかしくないよ。
Keep at it. Keep at it.
アクション。
Yoki!
何考えてんだ。
こんなに寒いのが悪いんだ。それでなくとも私は冷え性で。
知るか。
それかも。危機的状況を逆転させるんだよ。表と裏、今あったのをそのままひっくり返して。どう？
当たりです。これ
Yes,
は
I'm
連
loving
弾
this
術を
episode.
組み込んで発動する新たなハメストリス国土錬成人です。
Oh, this is the counter. This is Hohenheim's counter. Yes. So Hohenheim's been at it for a long time.
スロースが掘ってたトンネルの瓦礫を出すためにここが使われていたのですね。
グレンの錬金術師ですね。はじめまして。私はプライド。
Wow.
ブリックズに血の門を刻むのです。
Oh.
お言葉ですが、ブリッグズ兵の一枚岩っぷりと強さは相当なも
I'm
の。
sure pride can help.
簡単にいきそうもありませんよ。
スロースが掘っているトンネルがもうじき完成しま
Ah.
わかりました。血の門を
Look
刻ん
at
で
this. The
ご覧に
lighting,
入れ
the
ましょう。
shadows.
ブリッグズの砦に。
南のフィリー総長からは連絡がありましたか。
少し前に電話でな。フォトセット南部でアイルゴ軍とドンパチやってるそうだ。
Oh, wow. Yeah. Breakthrough. Did he just complete it?
つながった。
Look at that, a smile.
もう仕事しないでいいか、プライド。
もうすぐだ。その日はすぐ。
Is it now?
ご飯ですよ
Oh, it's her! Oh, I can't remember the name, but yeah,
ロゼ
from Lior.
俺今度ミートパイが食いてえな。
私働いてないけどこの子らの分だけで
Of
も
course you
分け
can.
てもらえないかね。もちろんです。おばあさんもどうぞ。
すみません。
Oh,
私にもくだ
oh,
さい。
the homie. This should be interesting. She's met his children.
お前さんどこから来たんだい？
Hey,
でも
isn't
な
that
い
him?
ね。あちこちうろうろしているんで。
Yeah, is that right, my guy?
何しにこんなところまで？
ご存知でしょう。ここであった暴動のこと、自分にはこれくらいのことしかできないから。
It's
そ
enough.
んなことないよ。
More than enough.
温かい食事とお嬢さんの笑顔がみんなの力になってる。教会を探しているんだが。
教会？
そう、暴動の原因になったっていうレト教の本部。
ご覧のありさまだ。今さら入っても何もないよ。
地下に降りる通路はあるかな？
ええ。
Oh, yes.
毒の水です。いつの間にかこうなっていたんです。
普通の人間はこの先に進めないようになっているのか。
Boss. Absolute boss. He's still going on about that.
錬金術ですよね。
Growth. Careful, my guy. I swear, if Pride shows up, these tunnels, anytime I see a dark tunnel now, is Pride around the corner? And of course, he's got a lamp, throwing up those shadows as well, right? Oh, I love this little disguise of his. Oh shit! Hey! That's not gonna stop it, dude. Ah, yeah. Oh, wow. Surely he can kind of recognize that it resembles. He just figured it out. Oh, okay, that's the reason.
どうやらここまでがお前の入れ物らしいな。ここを出ると死ぬか、一定ラインを超えると死んでしまうのだろう。あの時のフラスコのように。
Yes, I was just, yeah.
このトンネル内とセントラルの中心部でしか動けないと見たが、どうだ？図星か？
Sure did, big guy. Oh, yes.
なんとか言ったらどうだ？引きこもりめ。怒ってる？
怒りなど私の中には存在しません。
That's King Bradley, though he's got it under control.
怒りだけではありません。いらぬ感情は父上の中に置いてきました。私の名はプライドです。
プライド。なるほど。
なるほど。
人には7つの罪があるという。色欲、強欲、怠惰、暴食。
Haven't seen him in a long time. Ooh, that goes hard.
そして傲慢。あいつが最初に切り離したのがお前、プライドだったってわけだ。ご丁寧にフラスコの中にいた頃の姿と似せて切り離すとは。その姿こそが傲慢で自尊心の強いあいつ。お前の父親の本質か。そう焦るなよ。呼ばれなくても言ってやるさ。
Expect me at some point.
あいつに伝えろ。そのうち奴隷23号が会いに行く。
I'm getting to see his personality in this one.
セントラルでふんぞり返って待っていろとな。
Oh, look at that.
待っているぞ。バン・ホーエンハイム。
奥で何してきたんですか？
宣戦布
Oh. Man, Hohenheim.
さて、まずいコーヒーでも飲んでくっか。
Yeah, this feels like something's about to go down. Holy shit.
ドラクマだ。
Drachma. Is that right? Look at this snow though. Look how authentic it looks.
リックスの北壁が不在とはありがたいことだ。のう、キンブリー殿。
それに加えこちらの手の者が砦の中に多数います。
今日こそ攻略してみせようぞ。
Is that so?
宣戦布告ですよ。派手に花火を打ち上げようじゃないですか。
Oh, it's all happening now, folks. It's all happening on all fronts.
俺の名はザンパノ。
Oh,
キンブリーの部下だ。ドクター・マルコーがアスベック村のスラムに
fucking
潜伏中だ。
guy.
よく教えてくれた、ザンパの。お前の身は保証してやる。
Yeah, right. He's gonna die the moment they come across him.
マルコ楽しくなってきたよ。
It is getting fun. Okay, so it's getting there now, isn't it? You could just feel it, episode by episode, especially over the span of these past few episodes. Yeah, you know, there's this sense of tension that's building up now. And you see that at the end there, the time has come for the North. The crest of blood is imminent. Drachma has arrived, and it appears that Kimberly got in touch. Perhaps he has his own contact, or, you know, maybe through King Bradley or the higher-ups, it was facilitated, right? They had a contact or something. They did something that allowed Kimberly to get in contact and kind of, I don't know, sell them on it. The thing I really like here is that the Drachma in general really has this sense of respect and fear for Olivier, right? That clearly, you know, they've come to understand each other and learn about each other. And yeah, you know, she's clearly this feared and formidable foe. And the fact that she's not here at the moment makes the Drachma general quite hopeful about the situation. All of that being said, Father does not give a shit about who's on the receiving end of this. They just need a lot of bloodshed. You know, the crest of blood. So, you know, you see that Pride is almost confirming the fact that Drachma actually might be the one on the receiving end of this. That they might be the ones that are about to get slaughtered, right? Because as Pride said, use their strength, right? And by their strength, I mean Briggs, or Pride meant Briggs, right? So yeah, you know, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if it's Drachma who gets just slaughtered. They just need a lot of slaughter, bloodshed. And it feels like they'll get it. They'll get it. Because even though Drachma showed up, and they showed up in great numbers, really quite impressive, they're still sitting ducks, essentially. You know, it's going to be target practice for the most part. But, you know, I've got to say, I really enjoyed that episode. I did. It had a bit of everything, right? It's kind of jumping all over the place, kind of checking in on how things are going, be it one specific group or one specific person. You know, perhaps the only thing that's missing, or only person that's missing, is Ed. Perhaps for the first time ever, I didn't get any Ed. I mean, there's mention of Ed. You know, Miles kind of checks back in, and you see Buccaneer's reaction and Fallman's reaction, of course. You see that, you know, they are concerned about Ed. As of this point, you know, they legitimately don't know about Ed and if he is safe out there. But he is, you know, us, the audience, knows he's in safe hands. But yeah, I think those two Chimera are going to get Ed to safety. But, you know, that being said, there is one Chimera who kind of turned out to be a rat, right? Or he's taking a different, I don't know, opportunity that he thinks might be a bit more suitable for his needs, right? Ultimately, no one cares. You know, they certainly don't care about Zampono, who kind of gave up the location. And I'm guessing, you know, there's about to be a bombastic encounter in the next couple of episodes. But yeah, you know, Zampono sold them out. But the other guy's still loyal. But all of that being said, I think it's pretty clear that the best part of this episode, or the star of this episode, is essentially Hohenheim, right? It's like the first major episode to feature Hohenheim proper, right? Really kind of gave us a look at his actual personality, right? How he is on like a day-to-day basis, perhaps his disposition, right? You see that he can actually be a bit of a dork. You know, I love that. I love that he's capable of that he is that type of person, right? And you see in this episode specifically as well, that he is so much like Ed, or Ed is so much like his own father, in their mannerisms, in how they kind of approach a foe, how they kind of study a foe and analyze a foe. There's that cheek about them. They'll get cheeky, and you see that Hohenheim certainly pushes pride. And Hohenheim played pride to perfection. Got pride to chase him into that little hole, that little tunnel, and got a lot of information out of that encounter, right? And ultimately, I suppose, the entrance of that little tunnel is completely lit up. So Pride had nothing, like no entrance to that tunnel. The tunnel Hohenheim kind of falls into, and then immediately gets up, right? And starts getting down to business, and starts analyzing, and starts really taking digs at Pride, really trying to get Pride to, act out. And you see that Pride maintains that, no, there's no anger, but there is anger there. Pride isn't able to recognize that there is anger there. Hohenheim is getting under its skin. And also Hohenheim is able to confirm that in that form, in the form that is most reminiscent of the dwarf in the flask, right? He's kind of confined to the tunnels, or central specifically. Of course, a lot of these things are setup moments for any endgame battle that might happen. But yeah, Hohenheim kind of continues to rattle Pride, right? By telling it that, oh, this is the form of, father at his most arrogant, or its most arrogant, right? The dwarf in the flask. And he, found it interesting that he took great care to kind of have Pride be this form. Hohenheim, he was so fantastic in this episode. But, there's a really great moment as he tells Pride that he has a message for Father. And, this time he specifies that number 23 is coming, right? Sooner or later, I'm coming to see you. And I thought that was really interesting that, he's not using Hohenheim at that point. And the fact that he kind of sticks with that name for a long, long time, even that is really quite fascinating, isn't it? That he kept the name that the dwarf in the flask gave him. Now, I think there might be a few reasons for this, I think perhaps there is a bit of gratitude, right? Lingering gratitude towards that being who made so many things possible for Hohenheim, for Slave 23. Or perhaps it's more about the guilt and shame that he's carried for a long time, because of his own part in all of this. Even though ultimately, it's all down to the dwarf in the flask. I guess it was a bit naive of, Hohenheim to kind of trust it completely, perhaps. And maybe he has a lot of guilt because of that. But now the message is clear. Slave 23 is coming for you. So, maybe perhaps it's that point now that he thinks it's time to kind of reject that link, to sever that link that they've always had. And then, of course, there's quite the character moment for Hohenheim as he tells Rosé, and how lovely is it to see her again. All the way back in episode 3 is the last time I saw her. Now you see that she is in good spirits, that she does have a purpose in life, that she was able to kind of find a new direction in life. And she certainly looks a bit older, certainly got a bit taller as well. And I suppose you can kind of do a comparison. This person was essentially shorter than Ed, or the same height as Ed, but look at her now, right? She's grown quite a bit. Great to see even the mustache guy. He's still stuck on his miracles and all that. But yeah, the declaration of war through Hohenheim. That's an all-time moment for this anime, isn't it? And it really kind of announces his arrival, that he's really a part of this endgame. He really is a part of all of this. He's always been in the background, right? But now he's really taking an active approach, so much so that he is kind of running across other characters now. And, before I move on from that segment in Lior, you see that Hohenheim, yes, there's a bit of a fun, dorky moment as he kind of, reaches out for food, really reminiscent of Ling as well, right? Maybe there is a connection there in terms of the use of alkahestry, though, Hohenheim's alchemy actually just felt like normal alchemy, right? Of course, he doesn't need to do any transmutation circles or anything, but, it was really quite similar to Ed's alchemy, right? At least physically, the physical look of it as he's kind of putting things into motion. But of course, he's really much more efficient, right? Because him and Father, they can bypass a lot of these things. To me, it felt like he does his absolute best to not make use of any of the souls within himself, right? Because ultimately he is a big philosopher's stone, right? In the shape of a human, and that he never taps into that energy, right? And like any other person, like a normal human, he's got to eat. Maybe that's not the case at all. Regardless, it's not something he is open to doing anyways, right? They've established that he is really quite apologetic anytime he has to make use of the souls that are within or that are present within Hohenheim. But, you know, anytime he does use them, it's clearly all for the end game of this, to counter Father, to counter that transmutation circle. And then, of course, that goes into the other major plot point, or the major revelation of this episode. Back at the cabin, you know, that crew kind of putting their heads together. Yes, they get frustrated, but because they have so many of these heads coming together, they are able to kind of figure it out. And I love that. You know, to me, that feels so satisfying and so fulfilling to see so many fantastic characters and, you know, people from different backgrounds kind of coming together and figuring this out together. Yes, maybe you can argue that it is a tad bit contrived, but it's not the most egregious ass pull or anything. So, you know, I'll kind of leave it at that. And the really cool thing about this, and the really organic thing about this, is that, you know, some of these things are happening because of the things that are happening to them or around them, you know, be it Yoki just kind of sneezing at that moment and kind of giving them that new, you know, idea, be it Al kind of picking up on something as well. So yeah, it's great. It really is great to have them together like that. But yeah, the big revelation itself, there is this counter massive transmutation circle, right? And I'm guessing if you put that on a map, it's going to give you some locations, and perhaps there might be some significant locations as well, right? And those might be the locations Hohenheim has been going to, right? They've shown us that he's been all over the country, right? He's been doing his thing as well. Unless, of course, they do still have to go to all of those locations, or at least some of them, right? The ones that are kind of found, the significant points that are found on, you know, the massive transmutation circle that incorporates Alcahestry, right? I firmly believe it's the counter to Father's transmutation circle. But yeah, that scene inside the cabin, you know, step by step, the different phases of them figuring out different things, you know, I was really dialed in, right? I thought it was really quite gripping, and I was really quite excited for them to figure it out. And then, of course, lastly, Father also makes an appearance, a quick one, but, you know, it serves as a reminder that it's nearly time. So, you know, that fifth sacrifice, that fifth potential sacrifice is going to have to come soon, right? That plot point is going to have to really come into the spotlight really soon, essentially. And, you know, since the beginning, you know, I mentioned episode 3, actually it was episode 5. It was the conversation, right? Lust and envy. You know, and that's around the first time they spoke of Mustang being an important candidate. So there is still that part to this, right? Mustang's potential role in all of this as this potential candidate for a sacrifice. Because the other 4 are essentially locked in, or at least 3 of them are locked in. And of course, you know, the Alrics, you know, and their father, and then, you know, Izumi Sensei is a potential, though, of course, us, the audience, knows that she's locked in as well because she did the same thing the Alric brothers did. But yeah, you know, it looks like Hohenheim and Father are going to meet up soon enough, or reunited soon enough. You know, it's been a few hundred years at this point, right? But, you know, again, there's a sense of him kind of showing up by choice, almost as if it is this requirement, even for Hohenheim, that he needs this to kind of take effect, or he needs this part of it, at least, to be put into motion, right? So he himself can kind of put his counter into motion and kind of take care of this once and for all, or at least do his part. But yeah, I think that's about it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access, or perhaps even full length, consider checking out the Patreon page. The links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, if that's your thing. You know, things like Instagram and Twitter. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it, and I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.